Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Hello Hannah, good evening.
Hello, good evening. How are you doing?
I am doing good. We are back. Well, I'm back. You didn't actually take the week off, right?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. I was out for the week, spring break, which normally I don't take off. This was the first time in a long time I did. And I took a little trip to Disney, of course, and which you are very familiar with.
Yeah.
You go actually more than I do, I believe.
Ah,
Yeah, I go longer.
that's true. That's true.
You take a lot of short trips. I take a
Mhm.
couple long trips. But no, that was, it's funny because I can't really, there's not much really to say anymore about these Disney trips because beside that aren't necessarily Star Wars related, right? Batu hasn't changed at all, and which is one thing I keep saying that they need to kind of change. But
Yes.
which one thing is coming? What one thing is mentioning? One thing is changing. I'll mention when we talk about Celebration. But anyway, yeah, it was. I did buy Luke's light.
Yes. Do you have it with
buy-
you?
I did buy Luke's lightsaber.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna display this at the office.
Good. Oh,
Everybody's
man.
watching on YouTube, they can see it. Yeah, because I got Leia's. I got Leia's for my birthday. You were there when I got Leia's,
Yes.
and I was like, well, I need to get Luke's now, like Luke's actual saber that he made in Return of the Jedi, and put those next to each other, like at my office.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, yes. Heck yes.
so that was my goal this time, was to get that saber, and I got it. So really love how it looks. That one is actually it's really light
Is it?
compared to like Leia's. Leia's is like heavy and Luke's is really light. So I don't know. Anyway, it's awesome. Always wanted it. So that was really all my new stuff. Other than that, and it was, we rode Tron, but Guardians of the Galaxy is still the best ride there.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. No question.
No doubt. No question. Okay, we got a lot to get into.
Yes.
First and foremost, again, thanks to our patrons, for supporting us. Always got to give you guys the shout outs at the beginning of these things because I really, really appreciate the support over this time. And I was working on the plane on the way down and back because I got a lot of time. Definitely got some good stuff planned and rolling out here soon. But thanks all for that. Okay, so this agenda for this episode. There's one thing I want to. Surprisingly, Celebration is not going to be our main topic.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is, at least a section of it is, we do want to go through the days and kind of highlight some of the big things. First, we'll start off with The Mandalorian, though.
Mm-hmm.
But our main topic is actually going to be centered around the new eras that they introduced, which is pretty. I think that is honestly, regardless of all the cool stuff that came out and all the announcements, that was actually to me the most intriguing and interesting announcement. So that's what I want to kind of break down a little bit later. But first up, Mandalorian Chapter 22 came out last Wednesday. Very interesting episode. And I will send it over to you first because here's the thing. I didn't watch it right away like I normally do. So throughout the day being at Disney in the parks, I'm trying to avoid any kind of spoilers for one, but I am reading some tweets here and there about people being disappointed about this episode. And so I was like, wow, man, I really want to watch this thing and kind of get what's going on. So that night, me and my daughter watched it when we got back from the parks, and I'm not sure exactly where I think I can understand it, but I was reading some really bad remarks about it, and I don't think I really agreed with it. How did you feel about this episode?
I actually didn't mind it. I feel like it was a bit jarring in the sense of it doesn't flow with the same vibe as The Mandalorian as we're used to. So it was a very jarring episode, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool to see, okay, if there was going to be a buddy cop or a CSI or NCIS or, some sort of procedural. That's what it's called, right? A procedural? No, it's called a... Some sort of cop show, some sort of lighthearted buddy cop show. That's what it would look like. It was definitely a lot brighter than what we normally see in The Mandalorian color-wise. It was just very vivid, very bright. I loved it. I loved all the cameos that we had in there, even some of the cameos that we don't pick up right away. Did it just... I honestly think the reason why people didn't like it is because it felt so jarring. It was so different than what we were used to. Same reason why a lot of people didn't like chapter 3, I think, where it was just a story about the doctor and the program and people who were a part of
former Imperials.
Yeah. It's jarring. It's different. I do like the end, though. I love the fact that Sabine finally gets the Darksaber. She is technically...
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, why did I say Sabine? Bo-Katan finally gets the Darksaber. And it's funny because when we were watching the second episode, I was watching it with Zach, and he's like, wait, didn't Bo-Katan technically earn the Darksaber because she saved Din? I'm like, yeah, she did. What's going on with this? And so I'm very glad that came full circle. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I just think it was very different.
Yes.
That was a lot of rambling.
No, that's right. I think I see why people would be a little upset about it. Mm-hmm. Because it is different, like you said. But here's my thing about it is, to me, it's not what I also read some where people were saying this is one of those throwaway episodes.
No.
And the reason why it's not is it's still, like you said, leads into the whole Darksaber. Like if they just went there and did this thing and left and the episode ended, then you could say, okay, well, that was kind of a little meaningless. But there was purpose behind what they were doing, which, again, that's what I always argued about, like with Bad Batch, is because there are episodes in there that I feel like that don't tie into the main storyline, and you could not watch it and still continue on with the series. You have to watch this chapter in order to continue the story. So it's very meaningful. Now, yes, you have your Jack Black cameo, your Lizzo cameo, your Christopher Lloyd, who was fantastic in this.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you have your cameos, and it kind of lends itself to be a little more comedic. But what's wrong with a little comedy in Star Wars, right? So, yes, I mean, was this the best Mandalorian episode? Sure, and it was not.
No.
But it was pretty good, and like you said, it was, it shows a lot about Bo-Katan. It shows the dynamic of them working together. It was a great chase scene with the battle droid. I mean, I was like, this is cool seeing, like you said, because I watched those shows. Like I watched Hawaii Five-0 for the 10 season it was on. I watched Magnum PI. You know, I'm like, I like these kind of like week off crime solving, you know, these series. So, so I enjoyed seeing that. So anyway, I thought it was good. I thought it was fine. You know, my thing here about the Darksaber though, the only issue I may have with that is that I agree that it's legit. Like he lost it to that creature on Mandalore. She saved him by killing this creature and therefore earning the saber. My only issue with it is, why did he not give it to her before? If he believed that.
I completely agree. That's the question I have is if he knew that this belonged to her, why did he keep it?
Yes. Because it wasn't like that just happened. It's been a while now. Because we're 4 or 5 episodes from that.
Yeah.
So if he truly thought that she had earned it, then why would he be still carrying it? And even when she said, like, my people don't follow me unless I have the Darksaber. I mean, at that point, he should have been like, well, actually, you do have the saber. Let's go get him. You know, why did he? I don't know. That was a little. That was a little off, I feel like.
I don't know if he was purposely saving it for that moment to make it feel like it was more powerful. But even then, like I have no idea. I've been trying to figure out a reason behind why he waited until that moment to say, "Oh no, it's actually yours." But I can't. Like,
I don't know if there's a good reason. I don't know.
Unless it's like, "Oh yeah, duh, this is a whole part of your."
Yeah. Did he just like forget?
My bad. Here it is.
I guess. I mean, I guess that could be. Yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing is they're just literally, the thing about it is the Mandalorians there literally have to take his word for it.
Yes.
Like, how do they know that what he's saying is true? Like, to me, it's almost as if they have to see her earn it, not just hear about her earning it, right? That part's a little off for me too, you know? Yeah. Like she should, like, it's like you want it, you need to challenge him and we need to witness it. Mm-hmm. But they're trusting him, I guess. I don't know. That's a little weird, but
apparently Mandalorians are one of the most trustworthy people out there.
I guess they're honorable. Yeah.
I guess.
Which I guess that could explain it, but it's very interesting to see, see how that ended with her with the saber. Now, I mean, this thing was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, so
yes, yeah. There are so many other cameos in this episode, though.
All right,
like I think Matthew Wood, who was the voice of Grievous, I think he was the droid that they were talking to. The one that was when they were testing out all the droids carrying the boxes and the crates.
Oh, the battle droid.
Yeah, the battle droid. I'm pretty sure that was Matthew Wood. I'm pretty sure Tom Holland's brother is the
Mon Calamari.
Yeah, the Mon Calamari that we see in the beginning.
Yes.
Oh, there are so many more that are. I think Bryce Dallas Howard was in this too. What? Right? Was she in this? Or was it her husband? Her part? Who?
Well,
there are so many.
I'm looking at it now. The only ones that were credited were, so you had Christine Adams, who was the Quarren at the beginning. Yes. I don't know who that is.
Christine Adams.
But you're right. Harry Holland was the Mon Calamari. You had the B1 series droid foreman was Matthew Wood. The bartender droid was Seth Gable. And then the lab tech was Jen Kober. So that was the guest stars. I guess the ones listed in the credits. Of course, you had Let me see who I didn't even remember. I mean, they listed obviously like Jack Black and Lizzo and so yeah, obviously Pedro and Katie Sackhoff. But yeah, Jack Black.
Which I thought he and Lizzo were fantastic.
Yes.
I loved
thought
them
they were
and
good.
Christopher Lloyd. I loved them so much.
Mm-hmm.
Also, can we talk about how now Grogu's a knight?
Grogu is a knight. Yes.
He's a knight. I
guess. Yeah. Yeah, Sir Grogu now.
Sir Grogu. That needs to be a t-shirt, Sir Grogu.
Yes, it does.
Oh my gosh. But I think the other important thing about this episode is, now the rulers of this place are saying, hey, we'll go to the New Republic and we'll try to get Mandalore to be a recognized planet again.
Yes, good point.
That could be another reason.
No, that's a very good point. That starts the road back for Mandalore for sure.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. That was a good catch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again makes this episode a lot more meaningful when it comes to that.
I also love the fact that, like, once again, it makes the droids feel so human and you feel so empathetic towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have their own bar.
I know, it's weird.
It was weird, but I thought that was so cool that they did that.
Yeah, they got their own society, even though they're not necessarily represented. As far as a I don't know. That's however we call it, like a societal group, really.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have representation in the Senate, but they do seem like they have a community, within themselves. So, I mean, there was even like two droids kind of like hanging outside, how you always see that guy and that girl kind of hanging. Like there was two droids. It was pretty weird, pretty cool.
I loved. We also saw the droid that was in the original Star Tours.
Yes.
That was a great.
They're there. Yep. Yeah, battle droids in there. Yeah, particle droids, astromechs, and yeah, they were all in there.
I also wonder if it's just a tie-in to show that they were trying to give these droids even a new life after, the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. Well, I guess what's more interesting is how many of those are throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Are they in every little? Because you would think we would have saw something in Coruscant by now, which there probably is tons of them on Coruscant since there's like millions of droids. So it'd be interesting to get that explored a little bit.
Indeed.
Now, the next chapter 23, was actually screened at Celebration this past weekend.
Was it?
It was. So I've been avoiding that. There apparently are spoilers out there because apparently these next two episodes are pretty crazy, pretty awesome. So, it's already, today's Monday, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's only a couple more days. So I think I'll be okay because I'm going to watch it Wednesday morning. But I haven't been spoiled this weekend yet. So be careful, Hannah, in case you're looking around because people have seen it and people have been talking about it already. So
I didn't even know that was something I needed to look out for. So thank you very much.
Yes. And they didn't screen the finale, which is great, which means I think that they're definitely trying to keep that under wraps. So
right.
There's a lot going to happen, I think, these next couple episodes.
Okay.
Let's talk about Celebration.
All right, let's.
I was going to, because I got back in town Thursday night. I was going to actually possibly do a couple little short recaps each day, but I knew you had some personal stuff going on. We actually had some personal stuff going on with our family, so I didn't. I just kind of took notes, and I wasn't even able to really post as much online about what I was seeing, but I took some notes over the weekend, just gathered all these things. So we're going to go over these things by days. There's 4 days of celebration, and each day had a lot of good stuff that was talked about. Now, of course, we're after the fact, so I know most of you listening probably know most of this stuff, but let's just recap it and kind of we'll give our thoughts on everything.
Yeah.
So day one, we got to go right into the big event on stage, was the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, where they're basically saying what they're working on. And the big takeaway, obviously, of that, and what everybody was looking forward to wasn't Ahsoka, even though that was coming up, but it was, what are we doing with these movies? And Kathleen Kennedy, sure enough, came out and said they got 3 movies in development right now, and they're from 3 different eras. Now, again, we're going to talk about the era stuff at the end because I think that's a big topic.
Yes.
But we'll just say right now we've got James Mangold, who just recently directed the last Indiana Jones movie, is going to be working on a movie set in the Dawn of the Jedi era. You got Dave Filoni, who is going to be focusing still on the New Republic era and tying up the shows that he's working on. And then you got Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, who is doing a post-Rise of Skywalker movie during what they're calling the New Jedi Order era. Oh, and Rey Skywalker is coming back to be in that movie. So, Hannah, give me your overall thoughts on these 3 movies. What are you looking forward to any of these? What do you think about these?
I love the idea of Dawn of the Jedi. Absolutely. I love it. Would I would prefer Old Republic? Yes. I will not shut up about that. But I love the idea of the Dawn of the Jedi, because I think that's something a lot of us think about is like, well, how did this even all start? How did this start? And so to create that, the birth of the Jedi, even the birth of the Sith, which I think it could easily quickly go in that direction too.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because James Mangold was interviewed later, and he did say that this is set 25,000 years before A New Hope. It's
fantastic. It's a completely different era. Good luck figuring out exactly what technology looks like then. If it's on Earth during our time. No, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Never mind. But
well, is there a unified galaxy then? Like, Coruscant, like I don't know if they've truly ever come out and said how old Coruscant is.
I don't think they've come out and gave like the precise age of any location, have they?
Well, the Old Republic that you were talking about is the farthest back they've gone, which is, what was that, like 7,000-8,000 years?
Something like that.
Yeah, so you're going even further than that. So I guess, you had a unified galaxy then, so you would say maybe, so it's only 15 years beyond. So you probably are unified.
I think
I guess, or very, very early on,
Yeah, like I don't know if it's something that we would normally picture as like ancient Egypt. Like, is that the equivalent, or is it a society where you have bustling cities, you have a government, and then all of a sudden the Force, like somebody actually puts a label to it? Like, Is it the equivalent of someone going to the Tibetan monks to figure out inner peace, and all of a sudden they like,
Sure.
I think it'll be so cool, and they can have so much fun with it, and it's something we haven't seen before.
There is. I will say that the only thing I know about this era actually is that back in it was either 2010, 12, something like that, when Dark Horse. This was before Disney bought Lucasfilm,
Mm-hmm.
and Dark Horse had the Star Wars line of comics. They actually came out with a line, because I was really into comics and DC, reading a lot of DC at the time. Star Wars actually came out with a line called Dawn of the Jedi. And it was only 6 to 8 issues or something like that, or maybe 12, I don't know. But it was roughly, I think there were Force users, but it wasn't like an organized group of Jedi. And it all started in this book. I think it started on a planet called Jedi. But it was spelled Jed, I think apostrophe Hi, like Jedi.
Oh, okay.
So it and I don't remember it. I read it, but I don't remember. I thought it was really good, but it was basically like this group of people that were Force wielders, and they were learning to like establish what it means to be a Jedi. So I'm curious if he's going to pull from any of that, or if we're literally going to figure out like the first person to ever use the Force. Like that would be crazy.
That would be amazing. That would be difficult, but that would be great if you could nail it. Next movie, more of the New Republic. Okay, I don't know what story you're gonna tell, because I feel like there's so much.
Well, what we've been told is that it's the culmination,
right,
of all these shows. Like it's the ending of all these shows, basically. So almost like a Infinity War Endgame thing, where it's all building towards the final battle, which I would guess would be against Thrawn. That's kind of where I think it's going, but that's just my guess.
I don't know how I feel about it now. Originally I was like meh, and now I'm like, skeptical a little bit.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think we've seen how the Book of Boba Fett has fit within the Mandalorian, right? And you've got Ahsoka coming out, and you've got Skeleton Crew coming out. And it's these 4 shows that are apparently what they've been dubbing kind of the Mandoverse, right?
Okay.
They're all kind of intertwined with each other. So you've got Ahsoka coming out, obviously, and they're going to introduce Thrawn as kind of the big bad, I feel like. You've got Skeleton Crew coming. Now, I don't know how that's necessarily going to tie in, except that Jude Law, which we're going to talk about in here in a second, but Jude Law's character apparently is going to tie into this. But I feel like if Filoni, I trust Filoni.
Yeah.
I do trust Filoni.
Yes.
And I feel like if he's got this in his head worked out, then, I see this, I see it building in a way that it could be like, I don't know. But the problem is like, is a 2-hour movie enough to finish this out? Like you almost have to build up every episode to be like, to meet up and then do it. And that's very difficult to do. But, could it be like, is that like a theatrical thing? I don't know. Is it just a Disney Plus thing?
But even then, and I would almost equate it to the fact of, you need to read some of the books to fill in some of the holes of the sequels trilogy. I would equate that to this. If you're going to be doing a movie, then you're telling all these people, in order to make sense of this movie, you have to watch all
That's true.
of these shows. That's what I don't like.
That's true. Yeah, I can see where, because, like my wife, if she wanted to go watch this in the movie theater, like she had no idea. She had no idea what's going on.
You would miss half the movie trying to explain to her and like quickly catch her up to what's going on.
That's true.
I would do the same thing with my husband if he saw the movie. He'd be like, what's going on there? Oh, you see, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So I don't know how they navigate that.
If that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like it looks like that is, but if that's what it is, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be, I think the best bet is that probably will not be a theatrical release. If anything.
Yeah, they can change that. They could change that.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on
that.
Well,
I think it's going to be, or in my opinion, they may end up making it like 2 or 3 movies, almost making it like a trilogy. So like the first movie could be almost like a, unfortunately not for us, but for others, like a recap and like, setting up like where these people came from and how they got together, and then move. Because again, as we'll talk about when we get to Ahsoka, the Ahsoka trailer mentions like Thrawn being the heir to the Empire, which is like a book, right, from Timothy Zahn.
Yes.
So if they go down that road, then it better be a movie, because that is like epic.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know, but that's where I feel like it has to go if it's going to be a theatrical release.
Yeah.
So you didn't sound so enthusiastic about the next movie.
Who cares? Who cares? Like, who at Disney? Like, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, Daisy, I love you. I think you're a great actress. This isn't against you. This isn't against anything like that. But who in their right mind at Disney said, you know what we need? A trilogy starring Rey Skywalker.
Well, it's not a trilogy.
Or sorry, a movie. I don't care. A movie. I don't care. We know it's probably going to go into a trilogy, but like I'm just sitting there like, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, there are literally so many other things you could do. Why? And I know part of me is like, I don't care. And then I ate my words when I said the same thing about Andor, but I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. What? Like, if I'm being completely honest, that was my first thought was, who cares? And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you're like screaming at me saying, I care. Can you like leave a comment and let us know why? Because I would love to know why.
Well, I care. I care about the era for sure.
Okay.
Because so let's talk about that. The new Jedi Order. If it's the new Jedi Order, then basically what I feel like they are doing. Honestly, I feel like what they're doing with all these, and I kind of get the sense of what they're going to be doing going forward, is they're actually going to be pulling stuff from Legends, which is what I feel like a lot of people were advising them to do in the first place.
Okay.
Right? So because again, these eras are really interesting.
Yes.
So they're calling this the new Jedi Order. Well, we know there was a book series called the New Jedi Order that Luke was leading. This was during the sequel trilogy time in the books, right?
And it was brilliant. And they never.
And it was brilliant. Exactly, it was brilliant. So, in my opinion, what I think is going to happen is they're basically going to kind of pull stuff from those books, but instead of Luke, it's going to be Rey.
So does that mean we're getting a Sith assassin named Matt who's going to go after Rey and try to kill her, and then they end up?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I think, but here's the thing too, in which I think a lot of people were arguing back and forth on social media this weekend. And I think it's important to realize this, because I think they worded this correctly. The movie doesn't star Daisy Ridley. It features, like they use the word, it features Daisy Ridley. I don't think it's going to be about her. I think it's going to be about some Jedis that are in her order. That's my opinion. I don't think she's going to star in this movie. Like, I don't think it's very similar to Luke in the sequel trilogy. I think she's going to be the Jedi Master of the Order. But you got to think, this is 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker. So there should be some establishment of the Jedi. So I believe it's going to be about other characters. And she is going to be just the master, like kind of like Yoda has been, like in the movies, in a sense. He's never the lead. He's the Grand Master that's just head of the council. So that's my opinion. I don't know if that's for sure, but that's the terminology that I heard and what I've been reading. They never say it's going to star Daisy Ridley. So
I really hope
in that sense, I'm looking forward to it. I think that I think it's all about new characters. I think all these are about new characters. Granted, Dave Filoni is going to be about his current characters, but Thrawn is this new character. I think it's going to be a new live action character, obviously, that's going to be centered around. But Dawn of Jedi is obviously going to be all new characters, and I think this is going to be all new characters besides Daisy, and maybe could see a Finn come back, possibly. I don't think a Poe will come back, but I am interested in that era because I want the Jedi Order to come back. I wanted Luke to be the one that brought him back.
Yeah.
But they messed that up. I think now they're doing it right, and hopefully they will establish a Jedi Order again so that they can keep the peace going forward.
Okay.
Have I convinced you yet?
I hope you're right. I really do. And here's the thing. It's like Rey's story is already told. We don't need to.
And that's why I don't think she's a star.
I hope you're right.
Because if you made her the star, Hannah, you would have to call this episode 10. And they're not going to call this episode 10.
But is it technically still part of the Skywalker saga? Because
not if she's the lead. I don't believe so. Because I believe now that because of this, because she's coming back, I think now you could almost go back. I think this is kind of stuff I think about. Like, this is weird. Like, when this announcement came out, I'm kind of going back like, okay, well, if this is not going to be episode 10, then that means the Skywalker saga, the 1 through 9, it's almost like you got to call it the Skywalker twins saga. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was about Luke and Leia during the original trilogy, and then it was the prequels to show how they were born, and then the sequel was how they died. And that's pretty much what you saw out of the 9 movies now, right?
But you kind of have to call it that anyway, because in episode 7, we don't really have a Skywalker as the lead.
You don't, but it still centers around. Well, I mean, Kylo Ren, I guess you can argue is a Solo Skywalker.
He's not a Skywalker. He's a Solo.
He's got Skywalker blood in him. Yes.
Well, then I don't.
But it's about Luke and Leia. I mean, it ends. It literally ends with Luke and Leia's ghosts, Force ghosts. Rise of Skywalker was just on TNT, and I was watching it right before we recorded. And that was the last image was Luke and Leia, and I'm like, I mean, it's clearly, and all of everything JJ did was harping back to the original trilogy, and anyway. That's a big debate when we do our commentaries. We'll talk about that.
All right. But I sure do hope you're right that it's like she's in a couple of scenes, but it's just because like she's there. This gives us a time in the timeline of things. Her story's done. Yeah. And I hope they do pull from Legends because there are so many great stories and so many awesome aspects of the Force we haven't really seen yet that they could use.
Well, at some point we will. I don't know if Filoni's going to do it. I doubt it. But I do think sometime in this new Jedi Order era, the Yuuzhan Vong, I think, is going to end up making an appearance.
Please,
I think that's the kind of stuff that they pull from Legends. You know what I mean? So
they have to pull the Jason and Jaina story though. They have to pull that story.
And you could.
And the Mara and Luke story, you got to pull that one too.
Yeah, I mean, Jaina and Jason though may not be. They might not be Skywalkers.
Oh, that's fine.
Or Solos.
I was so hoping that was ultimately what inspired and what was Ben Solo and Rey's relationship. I was really hoping it was brother, sister. But no, give it to another pair of twins. I don't care. Their whole storyline is so fascinating and it's heartbreaking, but it just shows you how unique twins can be when it comes to the Force.
Yes. Yeah. I think something like that could show up for sure.
All right.
So
all right.
Anyway.
You got my hopes up a little bit there. You got my hopes up.
Yeah. I think we got to see how it develops, and we're still a ways away. That's the unfortunate thing. I mean, we're still not going to get a movie until 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's probably going to be at least the one that the new Jedi Order one is the one apparently they're working on first. So, because Filoni's is down the road, we haven't even gotten Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew out yet. They've got probably another season of Mandalorian that they're going to be doing. So it's like his is going to be down the road.
Mm-hmm.
James Mangold is still in the middle of writing his.
Yeah, so that's going to be.
So that's probably the next one. That's probably 2027, maybe.
Yeah.
If they're doing every couple years instead of every year. I don't know. We're still a ways away from getting movies, which is really unfortunate. But this is the first time I feel, again, because of the eras that they've created, I think they're now on the right track. Mm-hmm. Apparently Taika is still working on his.
That's good.
Like he's writing it still, but he's writing at his own pace.
Good.
Rian Johnson, they've talked, but he's still doing all kinds of other stuff. So, Kathleen did an interview and she basically said, look, it's all about timing. Like, nothing's just worked out yet with these people. Patty Jenkins that one though, it seems like it has been shelved. Like they're not really developing that one anymore. But Taika's and Rian Johnson's still very much in the mix. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But these are the movies I think that they're really, really focused on right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got to obviously talk about the next big thing, which is Ahsoka and the trailer that we finally got.
That was great.
Anna, go ahead.
That was great. Like that's all I can say about it. Like, I love that we're getting more Rebels characters in there, which is
we got all the Rebels characters in there, basically.
Pretty much. We even see Ezra for a quick moment. I mean, I don't even know what more there is to say except that trailer was just I wasn't too excited for Ahsoka, and now I'm getting excited for Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Ahsoka has easily become one of my, favorite characters. Seeing her from the beginning and after all these years, I mean, we're talking 15 years since she debuted back in 2008.
Yeah.
Really surprised and happy that we finally got a shot of Mothma post Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Don't think she's going to play a huge part, but interesting to see her in her. Now, one talk that I did see also, I don't know if you've heard about this.
Okay.
But I believe she has become the first Genevieve O'Reilly who plays Mon Mothma in Andor and in Ahsoka. I believe she becomes the first actress to play a character from the original trilogy post Return of the Jedi. So what I mean by that is You obviously
Oh.
had Harrison Ford play Solo, Carrie, Billy Dean Williams. You had all these people playing characters that they played in the original trilogy. The original Mon Mothma is so because there was this, and I don't think Lucasfilm intended for this, but there was always this kind of underlying coincidence, you can call it, or it was underlying rule that they were kind of establishing themselves, that anything before the original trilogy could be replaced. Obi-Wan Kenobi, for instance, right? Ewan McGregor.
Oh yeah.
He's only played Obi-Wan pre-original trilogy. Young Leia, obviously having a different actress play her, obviously a different age, but Harrison Ford didn't play Solo in Solo, right? You had someone else playing him. So you have these different now, but they did preserve some people like Tarkin in Andor, right? They computer generated him so he looked like Peter Cushing. But you didn't have anybody playing, like you didn't have anybody playing Lando in Rise of Skywalker but Billy D. Williams, right? You didn't have. So this is technically the first time that it's happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how much that matters to people. Like I think
That's cool.
it is cool, but Return of the Jedi, Mothma is in one scene, so you can almost like, I don't know, she's a supporting character, and I don't know if you really need to make any kind of arguments about that or anything like that. I don't think it matters to most people, but this is kind of I noticed people talking about it because I noticed it too, that this is kind of the first time that's happened. Anyway, just to point it out. But she makes an appearance. Obviously, we see the back of Thrawn.
Yes, the
Who's
heir.
finally introduced.
The heir of the Empire. Which,
right.
Whew.
Now we also see a couple of what apparently look like dark side users. And that is Ray Stevenson's playing one, Ivana Sonkno is playing the other. Now another thing that was kind of talked about on social was actually the color of their lightsabers. Have you seen this?
Like, they're not vibrant red, are they?
They're not. They're kind of like,
I noticed that like they're off. It's not the vibrant red we're used to seeing.
Yeah, they're not. They're kind of they kind of look orangish.
Yeah.
But the blades aren't white either, right? It's like a solid color, the color of the glow. So they are a little different.
Yeah.
I think that, in my opinion, my expert opinion, no. I think they're one of two things. I think they're either basically, now remind me if you remember this story. I can't remember if it was in Dooku Lost or if it was Master and Apprentice.
Uh-oh.
I think one of those where they battled these droids that had orange sabers in a sense. They were able to deflect lightsabers, and they had orange force fields.
Those don't. That is Master and Apprentice.
Right. Okay. Master and Apprentice. Yeah.
Yes.
So that kind of makes me think that this could be that, like an orange saber version of that force field.
Which we know it's possible because it happened to Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
Yes. So either I think it's that, or the other thing that I'm actually leaning more towards is that they are synthetic crystals. They're not actual kyber crystals. So they're manufactured crystals that create that color.
So they can't technically be Sith then, right? Because in order to be
I don't think
Sith,
they are
you have-
Sith.
Yeah.
I don't think they are Sith. Yeah, I think they're just dark. In fact, I believe they said that they're former Jedi.
Right. Well,
They're
then
like kind of
wouldn't it be-
dark side users.
Well, if they're former Jedi, wouldn't they just make their own crystals bleed?
But see, that's the thing is I don't think they're that. I don't think they committed to the dark side necessarily. I think they just, because they talk about them being just loyal to Thrawn.
Right.
So I think they're almost like they're soldiers to Thrawn. I don't know if they're like, I don't think they're like Sith where they're trying to take over the galaxy and like, rule everybody. I think they're just kind of like dark soldiers basically for him. So I don't think there's that full hatred there, which would be needed in order to bleed a crystal, or
Right.
they could not have, it's possible they don't have sabers or crystals to bleed. They could have lost their sabers or gave up their sabers. So they had to manufacture their own.
Oh, okay.
And they couldn't just go find a crystal anymore, because who knows if they even exist much anymore. I don't know. Elam is still around at this point, but I don't know. But my opinion that's where I'm kind of leaning towards, that they're kind of like synthetic crystals that they needed to use.
Okay.
Just because they both have it, right? They both have the same color crystal, so saber. So anyway,
things that make you go,
yes, it's definitely different. But because like the Inquisitor, it looks like Ahsoka is fighting, in one of the, I don't know if it's Inquisitor or it's like a droid kind of thing. It's Inquisitor. It looks like he has a red saber.
Yes.
So it definitely is different. And Filoni even mentioned it being different. He said there is a reason behind it, so we'll see.
All right.
But Ahsoka is coming August. Don't know a date yet, but it's coming August this year. So, I don't know. Excited?
Very excited.
Very excited.
I'm more excited now after seeing that trailer.
Yes. Okay. Another part to that showcase, Andor Season 2 is currently filming.
Yes.
Won't be out till next year, obviously, still, but lots of good information there. The Acolyte is filming.
Yes.
Wish we would have got something from that.
Yes.
They did release some footage inside the panel, but obviously we don't get to see any of that. The things to take away, definitely coming in 2024. It's actually from the perceptions of the villains. So whoever these Sith possibly are, or dark side users, it's going to be from their perspective. And we are finally getting a live action Wookiee Jedi called Kelnaka, played by Giannis Sonotomo, who plays Chewbacca. I don't know. I'm stoked for that series.
Oh, so excited! We've been wondering if we would ever get something that was essentially about the Sith, and we're getting it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. More dark side.
More dark side. And I saw an interview with Leslie Headland, who is the showrunner and executive producer. She had talked about how, so this is roughly about 100 years away from the High Republic and 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So really right in between. And she talked about it being like a bridge between the High Republic to Episode 1, the Phantom Menace. So she's like, it was real tricky to kind of figure out what the Jedi are wearing in the High Republic versus what the Jedi are wearing in the Phantom Menace, and kind of finding that happy medium to see that trend. I thought that was pretty neat, that level of detail. So
yeah, completely agree. And maybe this is the reason why the Council in the Phantom Menace is so different than what we see in the High Republic.
Yes, very true.
So it could explain that too.
Very true. I'm curious if we're going to see Yoda at all in this series.
I feel like you kind of have to.
You kind of have to. I mean, I think he's a Grand Master at this point.
Yeah.
So haven't heard about that yet, but hopefully we will.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other show obviously is Skeleton Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing there is Jude Law's character, who I didn't get this from the panel, but apparently they showed some footage inside, and people are saying that the kids were asking if Jude Law's character was a Jedi. So that would make it interesting, and probably the reason why it would tie into the other shows. But I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet.
I'm just excited he's a part of this.
I am too. He's a brilliant actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to see something from that show to kind of get the feel and vibe of what's going to happen. But
I don't think we can really. Yeah, I don't think we can give an opinion on our anticipation of that show until we see something.
Agreed. Okay, so those were the big things from day one. And now from now on, it's really just a lot of announcements. I'll run through real quick. Day two was they had an Ahsoka panel. That's where they introduced Thrawn and Lars Mikkelsen actually playing Thrawn, who voiced him in Star Wars Rebels.
That's incredible.
Yes. So, and apparently inside that panel, they got a forward-facing view of him. So, yeah. So they saw what he actually looks like as Thrawn. I know. They brought out Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Hera Syndulla. And I saw a lot of people didn't know this either, but you knew this, right? She's married to Ewan McGregor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Star Wars and Star Wars. And then, like I said, Ray Stevenson was brought out as one of the dark side users. Ivana Sanko was the other one. And then, of course, Diana Lee Inosanto was brought out, who was, I can't remember her character, and she was in The Mandalorian, the one that Ahsoka fought. Because there's ties that she is completely tied to Thrawn. Mm-hmm. So she is in this series as well. So yeah, so Ahsoka, nothing new, but they brought everybody out there and talked about it. And again, it's just can't wait for that. Can't wait for that series. They did not bring, the guy that's playing Ezra out. So I'm not sure how much he's actually in it yet.
I read somewhere, and I don't know how true this is, but in what I read, he said something along the lines of it was an honor to be like a stand-in model for what they wanted Ezra to look like.
Right. So I don't think he's in it.
Yeah, I don't think he is either, but I don't know if he's just saying that for the sake of the trailer. Right. And then all of a sudden, like, he makes this grand entrance. Like all Jedi must do at some point in their lives. I
guess, yeah, that's true. Or maybe they're still looking for him at the end of this season.
Maybe.
Because that's the thing we don't know either. How many seasons is this thing going to be? And I don't know. 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi is this year, so there's all kinds of stuff coming out. Which I'll get to in the publishing side of things, but they did announce that it's returning to theaters here at the end of this month to celebrate the 40th anniversary. High Republic. There was a High Republic panel. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Phase 3 is going to be starting later this year, November 2023, called Trials. What's that?
We got so much catching up to do.
I know. I'm way behind on that. Trials of the Jedi is Phase 3. It's going to be starting with a book called The Eye of Darkness. This takes place about a year after the fall of Starlight Beacon. So this is after a year after Phase 1.
Oh.
So Phase 2 went back, like it went back in time, like a prequel almost. And now Phase 3 comes back with the Nihil and basically the Jedi being in a bad situation. It concludes apparently with Charles Soule's book, Trials of the Jedi, which is expected spring of 2025. So it's going to be a good long year and a half of books for phase 3. The comics, of course, will continue the story. The Night of Sorrow, which is a storyline, that concludes phase 2. And one of the biggest news is, which was pretty cool, they brought out a woman named Rebecca Henderson, and she is going to be playing a Padawan that was introduced in phase 1. Her name is Vernesta Rowe. She's going to be playing Vernesta Rowe in The Acolyte. Yeah. So she's bringing the first live action character from, besides Yoda, I guess, and some of the other Jedi Masters that we see, but first new character from the High Republic into live action.
Does that mean... sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I was about to say, because I know you and I had a theory of when we saw the cast of The Acolyte, one of the actresses, I forget who it was, looked very much like Avon Chris. So do you think it's possible?
I think it's definitely possible. Yeah, I think Avar Chris is inevitably going to be in live action at some point, but I don't know if it's going to be The Acolyte or not, but she definitely could be in it.
Now I'm more excited for The Acolyte.
I know, right? I know. And then I think the biggest news, so that was High Republic as far as like phase 3 goes. The big news, I think it came at the end of the day, was season 2 of Tales of the Jedi was announced. Now, no other details were released about it, just that we're getting a season 2. Yeah, I'm happy about that too. Absolutely.
Ecstatic.
Yes. Day 3 started with a trailer, the final gameplay trailer for Jedi Survivor, which drops April 28th. What did you think about that?
Oh, very excited for the gameplay. Very excited for the gameplay. It's going to be interesting. And actually, because I finished Jedi Battle Scars.
Yes.
I kept an eye out for certain things.
Yes.
Because I was curious. And sure enough, the continuity's there.
Yeah, because I read somebody talking about they got a preview play of Jedi Survivor, and they had talked about how they're really glad they read the book before they played it.
Oh no!
Well, I don't know if it was directly tied, but I think, like you're saying, I think there's definitely subtle things.
Okay, I hope. Oh.
I don't think you have to read it, but what do you mean? What do you?
I don't like the idea that you have to do homework in order to understand something.
No, I don't think it's understanding. I think like you said, though, I think there's probably Easter eggs or subtle things in there that you only pick up if you read it.
Okay.
But I definitely don't think it's required.
I hope it's not, but okay.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of gamers that don't read books that aren't going to be into that.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, Jedi Survivor, fantastic trailer. Go check that out.
Yes.
Dark Horse Comics had a panel. I don't really read anything from Dark Horse, but there's all kinds of stuff from Star Wars Adventures and what they call hyperspace stories. There's the High Republic has a High Republic Adventures storylines that are coming out there. So, they're coming out. I mentioned this earlier. Kind of Disney parks, Star Wars new Star Wars tour adventures are going to be coming next year. So there's going to be some more planets and things like that you can probably visit. In Star Tours. I'm not actually a big Star Tours fan anymore, but I'll probably go and check it out. Do you still ride Star Tours?
Oh heck yes.
Oh yeah, if I'm there, I'll catch it. But I didn't ride it this past time.
It always has a special place in my heart because So the first time I actually rode it when I was really little, my seatbelt came undone.
Oh.
So when the car goes like this, I literally fell out of my seat and went catapulting towards the front of the vehicle.
Dang. Yeah.
Thankfully, my dad and the woman sitting next to me on my other side both grabbed me. But after that moment, that's when I started seeing the yellow straps appear on seatbelts.
That's true. Right.
So,
yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, I'm not saying there's a correlation or anything,
Right.
but I don't know. Even after that moment, I still loved that ride, and I still wanted to ride that ride. So it always, I don't know, it's always had a special place in my heart.
Yes. Yeah. It does get me a little woozy though. Like the way
does it really?
Yeah, that one really does get me sometimes. So
why that one and not Guardians?
Because Guardians, I'm physically moving. Like I'm moving forward.
Okay.
Like if I'm on a roller coaster moving forward, I can do that fine. But like that one and Avatar, Avatar is a little okay because it's like really vast. But Star Tours, you're literally looking at a screen, and I feel like the motion is so shaky, and it's just enough time though. It ends before I get really bad, but there's some of those that are actually a little longer.
Yes.
Some of those scenarios, and those are I can't do it.
Oh, okay. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so Lucasfilm Publishing had a panel also. So they talked about the new books coming out. This is more of the DK line of books.
Oh,
so
okay.
like Star Wars Timelines, they're coming out with a book called 100 Objects, which are 100 unique objects. The Art of Jedi Survivor. High Republic's coming out with a full character encyclopedia. 150 characters apparently are in this thing from the High Republic. So, and they announced a bunch of cookbooks and things like that. So, cookbooks, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, because we all want to eat that lovely bread thing that we see in the Force Awakens.
Oh, yes. And what's the new thing I saw? The cereal that the guy in Andor is eating all the time.
Oh
yeah. Apparently you can make that now.
Okay.
From a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi though, the 40th anniversary, that's coming out as well.
I'm excited to read that.
I am too. Okay, so day 4 was actually today. Bad Batch panel. Season 3 is coming.
3.
But it's also the final season.
Yeah.
2024. I don't know. I feel like I guess it really depends on what happens, but I almost feel like you're kind of ending it a little too soon.
I don't know. After the mess that season 2 was, I mean, it could have been worse. Season 2 could have been a lot worse. But I just hope that maybe some of the things that we didn't get closure on at the end of season 2, we get closure on at the end of season 3.
True. Yeah.
A part of me is like, yeah, it needs to be over after season 3. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just part of me still going. I don't understand what the purpose of half of season 2 was. So it's like, okay, let's land this plane and let's end on a solid note instead of bouncing around again like we did in season 2. I don't know. That's just my takeaway. But why do you think that season 3 is too soon?
Well, I think there's a lot of stories to tell with these guys still. I don't know unless they do some time jumping throughout the season, because I don't know. I just this whole formation of, because we're still in the middle of the formation of the Empire, basically.
That's true.
And I just don't know if you can wrap that up in one more season. I kind of envisioned this being like at least 4 or 5 seasons. But maybe we're talking about less throwaway episodes and, more solid storytelling. And, if it's 12 episodes again, or was it 16? No, 16 episodes, what we got, right?
I think so.
If it's 16 episodes, then again, if each one of them is meaningful, then yes, I think you can probably wrap it up. But, I don't know. I like these guys. I like the storylines that they've created with the Empire and the growing need of helping these clones. I think it's very interesting, and hopefully it can. Hopefully they do it justice for this last season. But kind of like almost like Clone Wars. I feel like I'm like, God, hopefully they don't leave anything on the table, and not finish it. That's kind of what I'm worried about. But because I feel like I feel like with all this announcement of these movies and all these other shows, live action shows, it kind of sounds like, okay, we're kind of ending all of our animation stuff so we can, and I think that's a bad idea, but hopefully we get another animated series at some point.
Right. I mean,
I think we could, because I feel like though, again, now that we have all these different eras, I feel like we definitely could get an animated series like in the High Republic's era or the Old Republic, things like that. So we'll see. We will see.
Indeed.
Marvel Comics just talked about their ongoing series are going to continue. Star Wars, Bounty Hunters, Dr. Aphra, High Republic, Yoda. There is going to be a big crossover series called Dark Droids that's coming out later this year. There's a Max Rebo book that's coming out. Return of the Jedi is going to have a bunch of comics coming out, one-shot comics that tie in different characters like Lando and Admiral Akbar and the Empire.
Okay.
Son of Staros is continuing. Mandalorian Season 2 comic series will be out in June. And then Star Wars, the Star Wars line, eventually, because we're in between Empire and Jedi, which ties in my Skywalker saber purchase, they're actually going to finally show us how he gets his green saber in this comic series. Yeah. So that was kind of the highlights of the comic panel. And then the last thing we got was the trailer for Star Wars Visions Volume 2. Now, you were a pretty decent fan of Volume 1.
Oh, heck yes.
Because, I know you're a big anime person, and of course, Season 1 was pretty much all anime.
Yes.
But this season, they ventured out, and I knew it was going to be different types of animation. I didn't realize how many different types, which I think each one is different. Which is crazy. So I was really excited. What did you think?
I love, one of my favorite courses that I took in undergrad was international cinema. And just studying how people took their different cultures and their different perspectives on life and they injected it into their films. And so I'm just beyond excited to see, to first off know that all these different countries are creating different snapshots in the Star Wars universe. But the fact that they're also vastly different means that they're all going to have a different point of view and they're all going to bring something different. And the claymation one, I am so happy to see that. I really hope it's the people who created Wallace and Gromit, because I grew up on Wallace and Gromit. So I love that.
I keep hearing that's what it is. I keep hearing that's what it is, actually.
Ah, yes. So, yeah, I'm very... It also feels like it's more of a serious note. I feel like with anime, yes, there with the season 1 and the anime there were some that were on a very serious note, but others were very campy, which, is very anime. So it'll just be, oh man. I'm really excited for Vision season 2.
Yeah, I'm actually way more excited for this than I was the first season.
Oh, really?
First volume. Yeah, because I'm not a big anime person, and I was a little turned off with the fact that I get it that these stories could be canon, but they're not really. It doesn't seem like they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we don't know when they take place, right? I wish we kind of knew when they took place. I mean, one of those first volume shows had episodes had Boba Fett in it. You know, that whole Tatooine band thing. So I know they're trying to tie it in, which again, it's one of them things where, you know, these could be kind of like retold stories of situations that happened in canon. I get it. That's cool. So I accepted it. I liked it. But again, I'm not a big anime fan. I appreciate it, but I just don't watch a lot of it. This stuff that I saw in this, like this is right up my. This is the kind of animation I like, especially a lot of the 3D, you know, the 3D generated space ones, and like claymation even. I think that's clever as hell, you know, to see something like that. So. No, the trailer did really well. It got me excited. I can't wait. This thing drops May the 4th, all episodes. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. And this, to me, these stories look more like stories that can be canon stories.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
I don't think there's any familiar characters in any of these that I know of anyway.
No one. First look, no one looks familiar. But who knows?
I mean, that one claymation one kind of looks like Hera, but I don't think it is. Because it looks like a Twi'lek.
Yeah, I don't think that's Hera.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. But it looks very, very good. I'm pretty excited for that. And then, of course, the final announcement was the next celebration.
Yes.
Which is in 2025 in Japan. I don't know. A lot of people were like, I saw right away the reactions were like, oh, yay, see you in Japan. And the other ones are like, oh, too bad. I'm not going to be able to go. See you when it's in the States again or something like that. So, I don't know. Part of me feels like, because they've never done, as far as I can remember, they've done Japan before. I think it was Japan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Japan. But they never done foreign celebrations back to back. It's always been, they've done one in Europe or Germany or something like that, and then they've come back to the States, and then they go to Japan, and then come back. So I was a little surprised that they didn't come back to the States first and then go to Japan. But that's just the way it is.
I think I have a slight theory behind that.
Oh, yeah?
I wonder if they're going to add something Star Wars-y to either Disneyland or Disney Sea in Tokyo.
Ooh.
Star Wars
That's
related.
Probably a good bet. So because they don't have anything Star Wars there, right now?
I mean, they have Star Wars stuff, but there's nothing prominent.
Not like a Galaxy's Edge or anything. That would actually make perfect sense, actually. So
that's my theory.
Could
is
be
that
right
they're going to
about
do
that.
something. They're going to bring something. I think if they're going to put it in Disneyland or Disney Sea, I would bet they would put it in Disney Sea. Just because of the feel of Disney Sea comparing to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
Disneyland feels very Magic Kingdom. Disney Sea is like a combo of Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And even Animal Kingdom. So I think they would put it in Disney Sea. So that's my prediction. Because if you look at their competition, Universal is making strides with their theme parks.
Yes, they are.
So
yeah, especially with the Mario land that they got now, and the movie that's just killing it at the box office. So
So that could be it. They could be announcing, like, obviously there's a lot of work that needs to go beforehand, but they could be revealing that they're adding more to the international parks, specifically Tokyo.
Well, plus the one thing I've always, that I think they've always tried to keep separated too is, one thing that's always going to stay, I believe, in the States, I could be wrong, but we've got D23 that happens here every other year. So that's happening next year in 2024. So you're going to have a ton of Star Wars announcements then anyway. You've got Comic-Con here every year. So you've got stuff that you're going to announce at those places anyway, right? So you don't necessarily need a celebration in the States to do that. So I get it. You want to celebrate Star Wars in other countries. So
Absolutely.
And who knows? 2 years, if I got the money, I'll go to Japan. I've never been to Japan. I always wanted to go to Japan. Have you ever been to Japan?
I have.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow.
I've been to Japan. We were in Kyoto and Tokyo.
Did you go to Disney? Oh, okay. What year was this?
This was, oh geez. This was it was before the pandemic. I'm really tempted to say it was 2018, 2017. Hang on, I can actually, I'll get you a year later, but it was 17, 18.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in there. My sister was doing an internship in Hong Kong before everything went horribly wrong there.
Yeah.
So we went over, we visited her, and then we hopped over to Japan.
Oh, wow.
So I have been to every Disney park except for Shanghai.
Okay. So you've been to Paris too then? Wow. Oh, wow. Wow. So there's Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo, Disneyland, Paris, and of course Disneyland, Disney World. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disneyland Paris is possibly in my future, but I don't know yet. We might be doing something like that.
That'd be fun. It'd be so much fun.
Anyway, that was.
If you get a chance to go to Japan, I still recommend go to Japan because
I heard it's great. I love the way Tokyo looks, and always interested in seeing other parts of the world.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, look, that was Celebration. That was all the recap. I'm going to, since we're a little over time in a way, I'm going to save my timeline talk because it is a kind of a bigger era talk. We'll save that for our next episode.
Okay.
Because this later this week we'll record. We'll talk about chapter 23 of The Mandalorian, and then we'll talk about these different eras because these different eras, there's a bigger conversation I will get into about those. Because there's a lot to dissect there on why they're doing it and, what stories can come out of that and things like that. So I don't want to just breeze over that. I want to dive into that pretty heavily. So
what a teaser for the next episode. What a teaser.
Yes. So it gives you some more time to think about it, Hannah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the prep work.
Yes. All right. So that'll do it for this episode 393, getting close to 400 here as well. 7 more weeks if we can do it every week. Thanks as always, everybody, for tuning in, and hope everybody enjoyed seeing and hearing all about Celebration. Even though I've been to a bunch of them, you can just, if you get a chance to, if you didn't go on Star Wars' YouTube channel and pull up the Celebration Live interviews that they did. I mean, you can feel the energy in that room from the fans. I mean, it truly is a collection of all the best Star Wars fans, people that truly love Star Wars and appreciate it and show the love for these creators and these actors and these directors and everybody that comes on that stage, and very welcoming, no matter how much these people get blasted on social media for stuff that they're creating. I mean, that's definitely a safe space for every one of those people. So, I can't wait to go back again. I mean, again, I wish it was in the States. I thought I was going to be in the States 2025 and definitely was going to go, but who knows? Maybe we'll be at Japan. Who knows?
Oh, if we could go to Japan, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. We got 2 years to figure it out.
2 years to save our pennies.
That's right. 2 years. But anyway, the celebration is such an amazing time. Mm-hmm. I do miss it because it's been a while since I've been now, because I didn't go to the last one in Anaheim because COVID was still an issue. And
yeah,
I think that was 2020. That was last year, right? No, it was in 2021. Yeah, no, it was August of 2022, I think. Was it that soon? God, I can't remember.
I feel like the pandemic just kind of blurred our sense of time.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in 2020.
Didn't they push it to 2021?
I think you're right. I think it was late 2021. Like August or something like that. But either way, I can't remember. Anyway, thanks everybody. Go watch New Mandalorian this Wednesday. We'll come back and talk about it later in the week. Mm-hmm. And then be on the lookout for new episodes. We got to get some Beyond the Sagas done.
Yes.
Got some other. I'm getting ready to dive into Battle Scars, so we'll be able to do that soon. That's my next book. I want to breeze through that one, get ready for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So be on the lookout for all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, patreon.com if you want to support the show there. We appreciate all of our patrons. Thank you so much. All right. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.